Hi, Hillary.
Hi, how are you? Nice to see you.
And nice to see you too. I absolutely um, credit myself for being in this business 56 years and being able to look at talent holistically because of the years I've seen different types of talent come through this business, and you just pop out loud and clear. And
Thank you so much.
it's so exciting and beautiful and nice. And I really celebrate your individuality. And I just had to meet you and learn more about you and just tell you, I feel like the proud grandma of fashion and seeing somebody with such a great spirit. It's such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Obviously, I grew up knowing everything about you as well. So it's like full circle moment for us both.
And so there are so many things I want to talk about, but I just some of my observations. Uh, Besides your authenticity and your individuality and how brave you are and adventurous, I mean, to me, if you can't be that, what's the purpose, right? Um, but I just wanted to get a little bit of background on where all of this creative, exciting, adventurous energy came from, and like what were your childhood experiences, or where was the curiosity that brought you to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I had like a very, I guess you would say privileged childhood in a way, but also a very dark childhood. Um, I grew up riding horses, which definitely led me to this like nature, veganism, like all respect for all animals part of my life. But I grew up like in a very strict home. My father was a first generation immigrant from Egypt. And so like we were only supposed to be doctors or lawyers. Um, and there was no like in between business school, medical school, law school. These were our options. And I really just did not fit that mold. So I was very, very rebellious. And I like was always trying to be something different. And I always liked the most different things. And they always called me the weirdo. And I was not, those things were not nurtured in my upbringing at all. In fact, they were very much like slammed against. And I think that in the weird, like just, like how it all happened was basically as an adult and I got to really find myself who I was. You see that like full inner child with Collina Strada really shine through.
Right.
And I guess that's just me finally getting to like express my inner child and heal in a way.
I come from a Lebanese background, so
Mm.
we I think are very fortunate in many ways to have that as part of our DNA. I'm very happy about it, but there is a lot of first generation energy that we both experience that obviously as I get older, I realize it was for our protection and all of that. But being rebellious is an important part of it. I was very rebellious too. I got married at 19 just to get out of the house to be me, right?
Yeah.
And of course, that was the way you got out of the house at the time. And you are expressing this child come to life with no boundaries. I mean, it's only creative and more creative and then even more creative. So, in the end, we have to thank whatever that was that made us rebellious and made us want to be who we were and different from what we were shown. And I love that creative child. One of the things that your book is so unbelievably beautiful. I mean,
Thank you.
the graphics, everything, the layouts, the whole thing. I mean, that's so powerful. I can't wait to see where that's going to take you next, because that boy opens a door that is unbelievable. And I think what I would love to know is, like, when you were doing the book, tell me about the process and how that all came together. I know you had every finger, every drop of blood, every morsel of you in that book. There was no question.
Yeah, so I mean, I worked on it with Charlie Engman, who's the art director of my brand, and he's an amazing photographer. And basically, we're extremely extra in this way. That's like, we basically had 268 pages, and we're like, how are we going to fit everything?
Mhm.
So we collaged everything, and I guess my skill is really narrowing down what my favorite images are and why, and his skill is bringing all of them come to life in this very extreme, amazing layout. And
Mm.
he's such an artist on his own. And we had years, like over a decade of content, and we just figured out how to narrow it down into this. Like 268 pages feels like a lot, but when it's 10 years of
Oh, no.
work, it's nothing.
Yeah.
So we had like 2 huge terabyte, I don't even know how many terabytes of drives of imagery and all this content, and it just felt like a really important thing to do for the brand in this way that I felt really lucky to be a part of. And then just showed me how much bigger the brand is than myself and how much further it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I feel like it's, as women, we understand that as brand owners,
Mm.
but it's very different for other people, I think. And like, I think it's very cathartic in a way to understand, because sometimes I get overwhelmed, like, all of this is happening because of me, but it's not. It has nothing to do with me. It
Hmm.
has small parts to do with me, but you know what I mean? Like, it's everyone on my team, it's everyone who
Hmm.
around me, it's the models, it's the photographers, it's the
Yeah.
energy on set, it's everything. So, everything's just bigger than one person. And I think
Yeah.
that really shone through in the book.
Well, he's incredibly talented. I mean,
Yeah.
there is just, it's beautiful, and you can see the energy in there. And, I agree with you. First of all, the people around us, that we share our love of what we do with, and it becomes contagious, and then everybody participates in such a great way. But I also think the universe is such a big participant in what's supposed to happen. And it's like, how connected to that are we to go in the direction that it's pushing us in? Are we aware of it? Are we being are we sensing what that is? And like you said, that book, I could see, um, just says, wow, they are on an unbelievable track. And where you go next with that, I think, is going to be so exciting to see. That really is a very special marker. And it's, if it's celebrating 10 years, whatever it's doing,
Yeah.
it forced a creative explosion. It forced the two of you to really put that energy into something very comprehensive and quite beautiful. I thought that book was something that was very personal.
Yeah, it was. And I guess and then this last show really felt like I had
Right.
this freedom to rebirth in a way and
Right.
like become something. It felt like I was able to continue, but like almost close the chapter and then explore the next
Right.
steps, which
Yeah.
felt really healing as well.
Yeah. Definitely. And another reason I was attracted to you is, as obsessed as you are with AI, so am I. I'm like taken. I am so absorbed, and we are looking at it in two different ways. So I'll tell you a little bit about my way, and then I can't wait to hear about yours. So I would say probably 6 years ago, and I've been very involved in VR, and when I was 19, actually 17, I was working on a UNIVAC computer at an airline. Don't even ask, but it opened my mind to, oh my God, what is happening? And I've been obsessed with technology ever since. But when like I said, about 5 or 6 years ago, these people who are very entrenched in AI asked me if they could download my brain. And I was like, hello, I don't think so. And they said, well, we want to create a collection based on the way you think and the way you approach design. And we want to have a company that we can do that with. And by downloading your brain and how you think we can do that. And would you consider doing that with us? And I was like, I don't know. I came home. I was in a different country, and I was like, no, I don't think that's not working for me. But then I started to think, well, why don't I download my own brain? Why don't I do it for me? And I have 56 years of designs in my archive, 56 years of designs. I'm the only designer that the company's ever had. And like you, we have a team and everything, but the germ of the idea is there. And I thought, I'm 78. I'm not planning on retiring. I love my work. I'm so thrilled to have a creative life. But maybe I should take my archive and put it into an AI model and train it and work with it so that when the time comes that other people can then use what my downloaded brain, right, my thought process, the actual archive, then they can continue. So the brand can continue. And in the process of doing that, through the years, my interest grew and grew in AI. And so I took a course in June, at MIT, believe it or not, on generative AI. It was so over my head, Hillary. I can't even tell you, but I did it anyway. I felt like such an idiot, but it was all engineers and me, right? But I studied so hard, and I worked so hard to understand and to get it. And I got so much out of it, and it only made me more obsessed. So that's my AI. Now tell me all about your AI adventure.
Well, first of all, we have to have a real dinner where we just geek out on the computer tonight. Yeah. And we're like, this is what I do. What do you do?
Right.
So my process is with Midjourney, and I feel like I've unlocked, I feel like I'm giving, how I explain AI is like, how when you speak to like a kindergartner, someone who like their brain hasn't been molded by society yet. And you're like, can you draw me like a dolphin? What would a dolphin's friend look like? And what would they wear to school?
Right.
Like their creative flow is so unique and different because no one's told them what that should look like yet. That's how I feel like working with AI is.
That's exactly what I say too. I say the same thing. Exactly. It's so
and it
true.
Shows me shapes and lines that I would have never thought of on my own because my brain has been molded by society to think a star looks like a star and a heart looks like a heart. And, and then AI just like turns it upside down, flips it inside out, and you still see it, but it's totally unique and it's different. That's what I love about it. And that's kind of my process is I love making new shapes with it. I love, inputting like Collina Strada designs and flipping them upside down and, reimagining things with it. Cause it really helps me train my brain to go back into that, before I've been molded.
Yeah. It's so great. I always say that when I think of I think of this baby who's
Hmm.
not fully developed, has the intelligence of something I can't understand because it's so big
She's an
and
old
is getting
soul.
right, and but has the innocence and simplicity of someone who hasn't experienced life yet. And so we totally are on the same page with that. And it's so refreshing and exciting because it just keeps getting better and getting better and getting better, right?
Yeah, I'm almost nervous to when it gets too good.
But yeah, but I think I think it'll bring something else to the table,
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
And I think what we love about it is that it's not designing for us. It's not, it's, it's a creative means. So we can use a pencil, we could use paint, we could use whatever, fabric, draping. So it's not another tool to sort of opening a creative process. The
Yeah.
excitement, yeah, it's exciting. It's really a game changer, right?
And I feel like it's also taken a ton of stress. I mean, as a fashion designer, our job to design the actual clothes is very minimal. And you don't, and like sometimes you're not in the right headspace to just start pen to paper, a dress or this. You're like, I need a best commercial dress for the season. And you're like,
Right,
but
right.
I'm on 8 calls today and I have so much other stuff to do. And AI really takes that stress out of my brain in a way where I can be like, these are our best selling dresses right now, let's flip them around and see what happens. And
Right.
then eventually you come to a great option. But like it really helps break that ice. It's like a writer's block ice that it helps me break for designing.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, the interesting thing, Hillary, it's really interesting the way writers look at this. So recently the writer's strike has really been devastating, and it's been such a concern for so many writers and their fear of AI. And I've talked to a few of my friends who are really talented writers, and I tried to explain what you just said, that it's sort of, it's a different way to write. You can, first of all, you'll be able to write so many more things, and you'll have all of this input that's just going to, like, your brain is just going to want more and more, and you'll keep asking and playing with it and interacting, and it's going to open a new way that you write, a new technique, instead of take it away. You can't take away creativity, right? You have to put in creative input. And so I think your description of how you look at the practicality of fashion, because we want to sell clothes, because we want to stay in business, and we want to have a creative life, but we're also realistic. How do we balance both? Well, you gave a practical answer through a creative opportunity. And I think that that's what most people who are afraid of, who are creative, really need to feel comfortable with. I think um, and that only happens by using it a lot, right? I'm sure you're addicted, right? I mean, it's like
Yeah, I
once you
use it
start.
at least once a week. I used to use it like every day, and now I like okay, I only have time once a week to do it. But yeah, it definitely now I have a whole archive of designs that I love for all different types of projects, and
Oh,
from
great.
accessories to shoes to dresses to wedding dresses to pants. Like I've got them all
So,
organized.
yeah, so perfect for my next question, or actually the topic I want to talk about is I see you. There are things about you that reminded me very much of me when I began, because I was just like off doing so many different things, and everybody's like, you know what? Why don't you just stay with design? What are you doing that for? Why don't you just stay with design? I was like, excuse me. I'm a designer, but I don't have to just use fabric. I don't have to, like, everything feeds back to one another. And so tell me we know the book is now another area that you did extremely well with. Tell me where you find excitement with your creativity. What are the different things you've been doing?
Well, I love doing collabs. I don't know. Like you can see it. My take on doing a collab is being like, okay, we're working with one big corporation. I don't believe that what Collina Strada's input or output into the world can change the world in any way. It's only by like making it a trend or making it cooler, showing other people how to do these things. So I love going into corporations and pushing for the best options of things that we can make. And they all have the technology. They're all just scared to use it. And so I'm like, blame it all on me. If all these shoes get sent back because it's not up to code or whatever, it's my fault. I'll take it. But please, let's start using these innovations that you have. And I find that super interesting. And I actually thrive on making categories that I don't sell with Collina Strada. That feels like a
Right,
hobby to me. And I feel so
right.
inspired by it because it's not something that I'm currently making sure there's bestsellers and there's this and there's that. And so I love making shoes right now until I probably put shoes in mainline.
I think shoes are like sculptures. They're so much, I mean, it's like a 360-degree experience, right? You
Yeah.
can't, there isn't a front side back separation. It's all the way around. And the shoe really comes to life, especially when it's being worn. I find shoes a lot of fun, and I've done shoes through the years, and I've always found it as like you said, almost like a hobby. Like it's a thing that
Mhm.
you just, okay, I'm going to have fun now. Um, and and as far as what about interiors and furniture? And I could see your mind would just go super
It,
crazy in
it's
there.
funny because in 2015, I used to do like a furniture experiment or interior design work. And I like, renovated some apartments with some people and I had a mirror collection. And it's
Huh,
funny because now that that stuff is a little bit, it's like 8 years out. It's like a little aging. It's been starting to get that little like
time.
inkling of what
Yeah.
to do next. So yeah, you might see that. It's also like in the studio, our running joke that our retirement plan is to like make rugs. And we're like, we'll just make rugs. They'll be like, they one-offs, they sell, and we
Right.
love that. So
No,
yeah.
I think I can definitely see an environment that you could just, and I think I think we've learned, especially after COVID, how important the home is just for well-being and for a sense of safety and comfort, and that the what that energy is really so important. And I think your energy um and the creativity that you could bring to that is really going to be interesting and exciting. And to me too, that's another area that I absolutely love. So something tells me that you're probably a pretty good business person.
I like to think so, but I also am probably like, it's probably a flip the switch, a coin, Sometimes I get like too creative in my own ways and I'm like, "Ugh, I don't want to do this." But then other times I'm like, this is the contract. It has to be like this or else I'm not doing
Right.
it. I'm very straightforward. I think I'm very straightforward as a person, which comes across as a little bit like masculine in a way when it comes to contracts. And that's kind of how I approach my contracts.
Don't you worry about that, my friends.
Yeah.
Don't you worry about that. I know that when I started, I didn't think that, first of all, my generation didn't think women could have their own business, or that women would know about business and how to run it. And then I started with my ex-husband, and then when we split, I was like, I don't have any money, and I don't know how to run a business. I thought men did this, and I literally was in that brainwashed mindset. And then I said, forget it. I want a creative life. I got to figure this out. And then I realized I'm actually good at this. And being the designer and the business person is such an advantage that most designers don't ever experience. So we are lucky, truly lucky, that we find a comfort zone. It's not 100% comfortable all the time. Nothing is. But having a sense of that, and as far out as you want to go with design, there's also, okay, now I have a business. I have to, if I want to be so creative here, I don't want the business to impact it. I'll find another way to create the business, right? So tell me how you've been doing that.
Yeah, well, I guess my run my shows are quite extravagant in a way, and that's really my creative output, and I thrive. Like I have done just lookbooks before for a collection. I just feel like I don't get the same like feeling afterwards. And I think that's what I always do a show. And because I'm really hard on myself, I'm like, oh, I love that, but look 12 and look 27. Oh, I hate. Right. So like I'm like, but I'm going to do better next time. So like there's always a next time how I can like one up myself, but I'm literally only competing with myself. So I feel like there's that I really focus my energy on and my skills in a way. And then I've recently come to understand that my accessories do really, really well. So our like bulk of our DTC is accessories and pants.
Wow.
And yeah, it's really strange. I mean, it's not strange because my accessories are really cute, but so we do a lot there. And so I just pump out what they want and I give it to them then. And then, you know, occasionally we have a few hit gowns or hit dresses and things like that. And I can really put my creative force into the show. And that's kind of where I keep the business size here with the pants and accessories, as well as the design contracts and the collab opportunities that help, you know, keep the payroll going. And yeah, I just really focus all my creative talent and like energy into the shows and what new things I want to develop next. This season with our AI collection, we developed 27 new dress patterns.
I love it. I love it. That's so great.
A lot of work. And because it was AI, like each pattern took probably like 4 weeks. So
yeah. So tell me about your training I'm not sort of savvy on it. Did you have art training, fashion training? Tell me about that.
Well, I started going to college. I went to like one of those Paris Hilton boarding schools as a teenager. So I came out of, and I actually closed one down, I think.
Oh, good. That's so nice.
So that started there when I was 16. I like one person. It was a really big, hard day. And I was like, we're not doing this anymore. Let's go sleep in the boys' cabin for 3 weeks. And then
nice.
Picked us up. And I went to another boarding school. I thought I was going home. But so then I came back and I graduated from high school quite early. So I just like went to Loyola Marymount. I don't even know how I went. I just went. And I dropped out of school. An English professor I really did not get along with because he was very Catholic. And I was like, this is not for me. I'm just going to drop out. So I had no idea what I was going to do. But I worked in like a small boutique selling premium denim, you know, in Redondo Beach. So then I went to FITM because I had a few friends who were going there. And I learned absolutely nothing. I learned how to use AI, Adobe Illustrator, not AI, Adobe Illustrator, how to sketch a t-shirt. I think all I learned was a t-shirt in those programs. And I learned a little bit about, but there were marketing classes were like, so you have to go through the phone book and call everyone and ask them if they like it, like crazy marketing classes. What they taught us was what. So I just kind of learned by doing. I worked at Guess Jeans at the time and I started making handbags for myself. I learned everything I knew working in the Guess Jeans corporate office. I hate to say it, but I just learned by being in this environment. And I made a handbag for myself and I would couldn't go to the grocery store without someone asking me about it. So I literally made a collection based off that and found someone to help me and just went for it. And after my first season, I had a collaboration with Target. I didn't even know how. I hadn't delivered a collection yet to a store, and I
Right.
had bags sitting on the shelf in Target, which made no sense to me, but
Mm-hmm.
I took the check happily because I was 21 and I didn't know what to do. And every season since then, I always had like an order like that, like a big
Mm-hmm.
deal. So I was super fortunate, and I just learned every mistake you could possibly make. I did it.
Important. So
Yeah.
important. I remember 6 months after I started making clothes, I had a full page in Vogue. And at the time, this is the 60s, right? So
Huge.
full page in Vogue was like a major thing. And then a page in Bazaar. And I thought, oh my God, they're going to find me out. I never studied fashion design. I didn't know how to make a pattern. I didn't know really what I was doing, but I was passionate about what I was doing, and it was different from what was happening. And when I saw the pictures, I was very encouraged, like you must have been too, like people actually like this. And then you wonder, are they going to find me out that I've never done this and I don't know what I'm doing, but all right, I'll keep doing it. And those are like the big encouragement when people have faith in you for no good reason except they see a talent.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I think I'm going to really enjoy this. I think I can get behind this. And clearly, for you, accessories are really sort of so much your DNA that you just do it and it's sort of
Yeah.
comes out and becomes something that's an extension of what you were thinking about.
Yeah. And what's interesting with my background is both of my grandmothers from both sides. My mom was raised in Pennsylvania, my dad in Egypt. And I didn't learn this until probably like 3 years ago, that my grandmother in Egypt could take a page out of Vogue. She probably took one of the pages out of your Vogue, like not in the 60s. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, and she could make anything out of the page, but she never was taught anything.
Yeah.
She could just like take
Yeah.
a picture and she could make it. So I feel like that really runs my blood, where I just like could look at something and I can make it. And my other
Yeah.
grandmother was like an amazing crochet knitter and so crafty and could make anything. She would like make a little bird and
Yeah.
very crafty. And so I was kind of raised by her. I never met my Egyptian grandmother because she passed before I was born. But all of these things happened in a way where I was like I think it's in my DNA that I can just look at something and inherently know how to make it.
I had the same experience. My grandmother, my Lebanese grandmother, the Lebanese would get on a ship and they would travel the world with their whole families, sell whatever they were making. And she made embroidered fabrics that were very Middle Eastern. And she did things with fabrics, made things with fabrics. And it was a while, like you said, that before I found out that that's what she did. And that she even had a factory that made hand crocheted and hand embroidered baby clothes. And I thought, well, there you go. I mean, it isn't totally an accident. I have a question for you. So do you ever dream? What are your dreams about?
Okay, I have so many dreams. I'm a very vivid dreamer. I do have a lot of nightmares around Fashion Week where I have no clothes backstage, and I have to like ask my models, and all my models are there that I always use, like the Collina models. And I'm like, oh, do you think you'll open this show in like duct tape? That's like a recurring nightmare that I have doing. I don't know if you've had those dreams, but they're fun.
And
And then I have
and
a lot of dreams about like just my like teenage years and like being, I don't know, in nature and riding horses. I grew up riding horses competitively, so I have a lot of like show jumping horse dreams as well.
so one of the things that somebody asked me if I dream, and actually I'm going through this cognitive testing right now. It's a longevity thing, and it's to analyze where my brain is now at 78 and what my cognitive abilities are. And part of what they ask, and I've been asked this different times in my life, of what do you dream about, or do you dream? And one of the things that for me is I will wake up remembering in my dream seeing dresses that I'd never seen before or clothes that I'd never seen before. And I'm so inspired that I just do them. And I think like there's this, I don't know, these, somebody is passing down this stuff for me to do. And they say to me, creative people have those dreams, that they feel like these ideas are coming from somewhere else to you.
Yeah.
Have you had that experience?
I've had this experience a few times where when I don't have clothes backstage in my show, I'll see other people's racks of clothes and I'm
Oh,
like, wow, that's really good. I wish I had that. And it's never mine. And maybe it's like because it's someone passing me the
yeah,
ideas. And then I'll wake up and I'll sketch what was on the other
right.
person's rack backstage.
Isn't
And
that funny?
yeah.
And I've always felt just like you that, is this mine, or I've never seen it before. Is it really mine, or is it somebody else's? I'm not sure, but then I'm assured that it is yours. It's just the way it's coming to you. But it's funny that you see it as somebody else's rack. That's
Literally,
yeah,
it's like a group show or
yeah.
something.
But this is very common, they say, for creative people, not just designers, but artists and songwriters and all creative people have this kind of thing. So whatever, I'm thinking, okay, keep them coming. I'm here to serve and to do what I'm supposed to be doing with them. And I love it. I'm so excited every time that happens. I just, it's sort of so inspiring that you just, here it is. You can take it even further. The, the idea of, the kind of life that you will have, right, as a creative person. For me, I remember as a young girl, everybody saying, "Oh, when you get married and have kids," and I'm like, "No, not happening here. No, this is my age group." Immediately, you learn not to say that anymore and just not say anything, because the response was tragic. But I knew that I wanted a creative life, and I didn't know how you did that if you had the responsibilities of a family. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I was almost married once and we had baby names and all of that set up, and that didn't work out. And since then, I've been really like, because I've been a serial monogamist my whole life in this way where I've been, in these like very long-term relationships. And right now is like the first time I've actually been single for a minute, like about a year. And it feels so amazing to not, and I feel like I'm fully thriving in the way where I'm not responsible for anyone's feelings except for my dogs. And I just feel really whole for the first time in my whole
Mm-hmm.
adult life. And everyone's like, so the first thing anyone asks me whenever I walk to a room, who are you dating? Who are you dating? I'm like, no one.
You're
And
dating you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it feels so good to take care of me for the first time. I like organize my house just the way I want it.
Right.
Everything feels good. I'm like, I've working in my studio. Everything's good. I don't have to wait, see what we're having for dinner, all of these things, because immediately as a empathetic person, no matter if I'm the woman in the relationship or not, like I'm still going to care about what they're having for dinner,
Mm-hmm.
whoever it is. And so I don't have to take on that stress anymore right now, which feels really, really great. And it has been, as a creative, I feel like no matter what, whoever you spend your most time with, they will influence you. It's like also people always try to like dim my light and they'll be like, why are you wearing so much color today? Like, we really
Hmm.
have to wear all hot pink today. And it's
Right.
like, well, yeah, I'm going to meet pink. Like,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
that it's this is such an important time for you. It really, the years that I finally was strong enough to be on my own and not lonely, but alone. And alone
Truly.
is a good word, and not
Yeah.
thinking of it as lonely. And really learning who I was and how I wanted to live, and not worried about, are they going to be okay with this, and compromising. And compromise is great in relationships, and all of that is good. But first, really understanding what areas are not up for compromise and what areas are. And as a designer, for you not to wear pink when you want to wear pink is such an intrusion on who you are in every way. And
Yeah.
that information has to be very clear as you move forward and decide it's time for you to accept somebody's interest in you, and making sure that the person you're with is somebody you deserve, and that is a very that's a very big demand that you
Yeah.
have to make for yourself. um I was, when in 1970, somebody gave me a gift of having an astrologer do my chart, and I'd never had my chart done. And so she did my chart. She was amazing at knowing details about my childhood and everything. So she really, well, made a big impression on me. And then she said, at the time, I was still married, but it was sort of not gonna be ending well. And it was at that point. And she said, um, your career is going to go way into, your to your life, straight through to the very end, and you're going to meet your soulmate in your 60s. And I was like, excuse me. No, 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 this is it. No, you're wrong. And she said, well, I'm not usually wrong. And I thought, oh my God, I've got to prove this woman wrong. So I had a series of long relationships that could have been called marriages. I never really wanted to get married again. I didn't like, I don't know, why do I need to be married? I like my independence. I like my feeling that I can have one foot out the door if I want to. And then, and of course, wouldn't you know, I meet my soulmate at when I was 65, and we're actually getting married in a month. Um,
Amazing.
yeah, it's crazy. But the point I'm making is that all of those relationships were really very important for me and my
Yeah.
personal development. And while I didn't feel it was important to get married because I didn't feel the need to have children, or that I could do the best job
Mhm.
for a child, I learned so much from my interaction. And then to finally meet a soulmate, which I didn't think was going to be my destiny, then you all of a sudden see this person I deserve this person and this person deserves me. And it's that phrase that is the defining phrase, right? And that you keep that in the front of your brain because your work and what you will be capable of doing in this lifetime has to be respected and it has to start with you first, right? So
Yeah.
I'm giving you some advice, whether
Thank
you want it
you.
or not, but I
I need to
really,
hear that too, because sometimes it does feel like, it's also, it's true. They say it can be lonely at the top. Like when you're at the best on your rise of your career, it's hard to have, true, real connections with people. I'm really fortunate to have a really strong group of friends that I like have my own personal relationships with. I'm very much one-on-one friendship where I have, my best friend Sarah will meet me in Greece for 4 days if I'm in the like already in Europe. Like this type of friendship that's just like
mhm,
so strong. And it's very tricky to navigate sometimes what's real and what's because you're at your certain level of your career and
yeah,
who's going to show up for you at 3 in the morning when you like sewed through your fingernail,
right.
right?
No,
Um,
it's true. And those friendships, those are the ones that you keep and you nurture, because there are so many people that want to be friends with Norma Kamali, but do they really want to be my friend? And I see
yeah,
her as a separate entity that
totally.
people feel they know really well and have a relationship with, but they're those friends that you need and you do because it is lonely. It is. There are times where I cried myself to sleep, not sure, am I going to be in business tomorrow? Oh my God,
Totally.
what happened?
Yeah.
And nobody else is crying with you, right?
No.
Nobody else's blood, sweat, and tears went into all of the stages. And there will be times again when you're going to feel throughout your career and however long you want this career to evolve, there will
Yeah.
be those times when you think, oh my God, what, and you just feel I am alone. I'm alone
Yeah.
in this, but you know what? You just get stronger and stronger and you understand the difference between lonely and alone
Yeah.
and that balance and the people around you are the ones to nurture and be grateful for. I am so grateful for the few friends that I've had for a long time. They are the most valuable.
Truly. Thank you. That's a
Yeah.
really amazing point. And I feel like a lot of women struggle with this, and especially a lot of creative women, because it's really hard to own your space as a woman in this way, where it feels selfish that you're taking that time almost. And
Hmm.
people always ask the questions, when are you going to have kids? Oh,
Right.
I'm 36. People are like, oh, well, it's kind of the last time. And I'm like, well, you can always adopt.
Yeah,
You
that
can
was
always-
that's what I said at 36 too. You know
Yeah.
what? Maybe I met somebody that I thought, you know what, this guy would be really cool to have kids with. I had that momentary thought, maybe I would do that. And then I thought about it and I said, well, you know what? I'm going to hang in. Maybe I'll adopt.
Yeah.
And then, and I believed it. And I actually thought I could do that. Um, I think it's good to spend time around kids because of the innocence of being around them.
Totally.
And I spent lots of time volunteering in the public schools, teaching fashion and teaching sort of training self-esteem. And the more of that interaction you have in whatever way you find that, I think, would be helpful too. As I was saying, I was thinking, oh my God, you could do an amazing children's book too. I mean, I could
Yeah, I
see
love
that.
making kids clothes as well. My clothes like really come
Ah,
together as children's clothes. It's really special. Yeah.
I so see that. I definitely see that. It's so playful and happy and cheerful.
And whenever
So
I see a child at the airport, they're always like, Oh my God. I like can't believe that a woman of my age could dress the way like they
Right,
would kill to dress for. Like it's really special. And
right.
I'm like,
Mhm.
hey.
You know what, Hillary? The never act your age. Never act your age. When you're young, you have to act older.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm acting 78. It's like, no way. Not happening here. Not at this place. So if color makes you happy and you just do it.
Yeah.
And that just, and it really affects people. What do you think the purpose of fashion is?
I feel like fashion is our armor, right? It's really how we want to, explain ourselves or show who we are that day. And we can continuously change and always evolve who that person or what our narrative is that week or day or month or event. And I feel like fashion is so important for just like making a statement and just expressing yourself. I think it's so empowering. Like I know I'm like truly in a bad mood if I don't like that outfit that I'm wearing that day. I'll be physically upset if I have to go to an event and I have to wear something for something else for some other event
Hmm.
and I don't feel comfortable in these clothes. It can change your whole, self-esteem and your how you're feeling and your whole mood. So I feel like it's so important to be confident in your own
Yeah.
skin and your own clothes. And it really just makes, I don't know, it controls everything for me.
Yeah, and it also sends so many messages to other people. And I think somebody like you and me, when we were younger, I'm sure you felt this too, that if you were wearing something, all of a sudden it would start influencing your friends and other people would start wearing them the same way or doing things. And you realize that there's this power, and I wouldn't use the word power typically, but there's this energy that
Mhm.
can be translated through the physical experience of wearing clothing that makes people happy. And
Mhm.
your clothes have to make people happy. I mean, if your clothes don't make people happy, then they're just never going to be happy. I mean, they
Yeah.
are so much fun. They're so free and just they have this beauty that really gives the wearer an opportunity to just be part of the experience, right? I'm sure
Yeah.
you're thinking how you feel. And then how do you feel about, do you think as women, and there aren't that many of us in the industry, do you think as women we have an advantage?
That's a hard question because we definitely do in some regards, but we have such a strong disadvantage in other ways.
And
Truly,
so,
like,
what are the advantages and disadvantages that
I think
you
our
see?
advantages are we can really read a room and we know what we're walking into, and um, we can really understand from the whole scale of what's going on in the situation in a different way, in a more empathetic way. But I think the disadvantages are so great, especially now. There's a really high fashion brand that just was the few ones to hire a woman. I'm not going to say who, but this woman was up for the job for, through the whole summer. And the owner was just like, I just don't think she's ready yet.
Yeah, yeah.
But if he would never speak about a designer if he was male, even if he was 22,
Mm,
oh, I just don't think he's ready yet. This
mm,
woman is in her, I don't know how old she is, but she's older than me. And she's been around the business for years and years and years and years and years, but she's just not ready yet.
mm,
And that's kind of, I heard that and I was like, wow, it's so real. That's how they all talk about us.
mm,
All these like high CEO men who are running these companies and are handling all the money and who are making all the big decisions in the world. We're just not ready yet.
mm,
But that's why you and I have our own business and we're here to
mm,
prove ourselves that we are ready and we are successful and we have new and innovative ideas that most people don't have and we can be unique and we can
mm,
hold our own at a table and we can hold our own, at a show and we can have the best show of the season and there's nothing holding us back as a woman. But we have the power and we have the inner strength to be able to continue on our own without anyone else's support.
and not have to design by committee.
Exactly.
That would be like just like take me out now. Take me out kicking and screaming right
Oh my
now
God.
because
Here are your
can
7
you
commercial long
imagine?
sleeve shirts, please.
The I also think it feeling the um feeling clothes on our bodies and being female and having bodies that have a specific kind of energy really is an advantage I feel that women have in understanding when another woman tries this on, or someone who has that energy of that kind of body tries this on, they're either going to get excited about it or they're going to feel part of it. They will feel the energy you and I feel when we're thinking about how that will feel on. How will that
Totally.
feel when this drops off your shoulder? How will that feel when it's draped around your waist? What will the pitch of these shoes feel like when you're walking in them? You know,
You're late.
it's one thing to experience it in this sort of very intimate way. And another is to imagine it, experience it in some level, imagine it, but to actually live it is with all of our hormonal ups and downs that, you know, that are part of who we are, right? All of that, we have that advantage. And I don't think it's an accident that our intuition is so strong when it comes to
Yeah.
fashion.
I mean, that's how I feel about our pants. Like, I don't really personally wear skirts or dresses, but when I design a pant, I'm like, what happens when you're menstruating? What happens when you're, feeling a little sad that week or eating too much ice cream? And like, I love making a pant that absorbs all of these different things and you can wear for years because you can just live in this pant and you can
Mm-hmm.
feel comfortable and sexy and ready for an event all in one. And
Right.
that really where I thrive, I think.
It's funny because I too love pants. I wear pants all the time. Pants are very strong for us too, obviously. And I never have my legs crossed. They're always open and spread out. And I think, I don't know how to sit like a lady. My legs are always like this, or they're up in the air. I'm on the floor pinning something, or like,
Always on the floor.
right, we're always on the floor. And so as you can see, things don't change in a lot of ways, but I think that you're right, that knowing that that's what the experience is for a woman, and that we are active, we're physical, we're very engaged in what we're doing, and comfort, and also feeling really good, and sort of the experience of it all is so much a part of our experience as women. I
Yeah.
think the purpose of clothing is one thing, but since we're coming to the end of this, I could talk to you forever. Um, what is this is really an important question. And I am prefacing it by saying, if you don't 100% have this pulled together right now, it's totally normal. But this is an important thing for you to visualize and think about for the rest of your life. Um, and so the question seems very simple, is like, what is your purpose in life? So
Yeah.
what
I
do you
mean,
think it is now?
I honestly think, and I had like a really massive Saturn returns, and I really came, if you saw my Saturn returns kind of close when I was 31, and I had my
Right.
first like successful show right afterwards. And I really was like, my purpose is to be the voice in the industry that Oh, my dog is coming to give the
Oh,
big reveal.
oh, what kind of a dog is that? Oh my
This is Callie.
God.
He's a blue Merle Pomeranian.
So cute. Oh my God.
So my first purpose is to be his mother.
Yes.
We've been together 12 years. He's 12 years old.
Oh.
But my purpose is to be in an industry and to kind of cause havoc from the inside and really break the molds and to ask for change and empower people through change and really give people the strength to know that there's always a better way to do things or a different way or a way that's more humanitarian or a way that's, I want to be the person and it's kind of how I've been, thankfully, in the last couple of years. I've been finally, in fashion, they kind of give you a front door key and then they give you a mail key and then you get to go to the second floor and then you're in the third floor. I feel like I'm like somewhere in the middle of the building right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But so luckily I've been able to really make very strong statements in the industry and kind of be the voice of change and reason within a very hard capitalistic society where, bottom numbers are the biggest thing. And I really think my purpose is to be like, small businesses are allowed to be small and successful, and you can live off a small business for a very long time. As you know, like we don't have to be making $60 million a year to have a good, healthy business. And I think there's a lot of things that people don't tell you, and a lot of, suits that will get in the way to tell you you're not doing good enough or you're not doing this but you can make change and impact in a cultural movement without being the highest person on the chart. And I think that's my purpose, is to show the impact and the change and movements you can make while still, having a 1,500 square foot studio in Chinatown.
I absolutely love you. I cannot tell you how much I often said myself, I never intend to be the richest or most famous designer in the world. It's so not my goal, but to make some change, affect people's lives, and have a creative life is just an extraordinary opportunity.
Yeah.
And I am so grateful for my life, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything, because what you said is exactly probably the most ideal, the most purposeful, the most meaningful definition of success in business, where you're really changing the way people think, affecting people's lives, and having a voice of independence as a woman. I mean, come on, girl, let's pat ourselves on the back. And I am so proud of you. I want you to be my friend, and I want to be your friend. And I want you
Let's
to
not be the last talk we talk, okay?
Well, it's so not going to be the last time. I've loved meeting you, and we will be in touch.
Yeah.
For sure.